Hello, this is Jason Drake, the lead developer for the stamp image bursting application, and in this tutorial I'm going to show how you can specify different output resolutions for the images. So the first thing I want to show is how the default sizing works in the application. So here we have the image bursting application, and I've opened up an image in which I've specified that to conjoin the stamps as a set. And this will output a single image, as you can see. And under the bursting tab, if you choose the resolution from the loaded image, center that so people can see it, it will use whatever the image as defined by the burst for the output. So this should be normal resolution, and I'll burst that to a folder. And if we now look at the folder, we can see that we have an image that's 427 by 721 pixels. So that's the standardized size of that particular image. If I change these settings now, I can actually specify a fixed output resolution. So I can specify as 800 by 600. And what that will do is it will actually output a fixed resolution image without any scaling at 800 by 600 pixels. So now we can see we have an 800 by 600 image, and you can see it's a little bit skewed because in this case the aspect ratio is not the same for the horizontal and vertical dimensions. So now we can actually go and we can change and blank out one of these resolutions and actually have it so that it's fixed at a particular size. So in this case, I will set the horizontal resolution to 900 with no vertical resolution. And I'll change the name here so that's 900 by unknown. And what I would expect to see is an image that's 900 pixels by some amount of pixels that are going to be significantly larger than 900. And if we look here, we can see it's 900 by 1520. So it maintained the vertical aspect ratio, but using 900 as the maximal dimension. I can reverse that and set the horizontal to 0 and the vertical to 600. And this should give me a resolution that is somewhere in the order of 600, we'll call it fixed. Okay, so this should be somewhere in the order of 300 to 400 by 600 pixels. And we can see it's 356 by 600. So the final feature, which is probably the most useful for most users, will be to use actually using aspect ratios. And this will actually use the maximal output resolution for aspect ratios. So some forums, for example, will require that an image can't exceed 800 by 600 pixels. And so if we enter 800 by 600, it will try to scale it up to the maximal size of either 800 or by 600, but it won't go over either of these two values. So I'll put this in as 800 by 600 aspect, and I will burst that. And we now have an image here that is 355 pixels by 600 pixels. So 600 was the driving resolution in this case. I can further this by blanking out one of the resolutions, so in this case the vertical, and set that to 0. And I'll put in a new name here, and I'll burst that. And in this case, we can see that the resolution was set to 800, and then the vertical was set based on the aspect ratio from the original image being converted to 800 pixels wide by whatever the particular height is. And finally, I'll show the inverse of that, where, forgetting to center this here, where the horizontal resolution is 0 and the vertical resolution is 600. And I'll change the name here to unknown by 600. And let's see, Here we go. And we can see here that it's 355 by 600. Now, one thing I should note is that with either of these two modes that I showed, either the fixed or the maximal, if only one value is entered, it will actually behave very similar or the same. So you can see here with the unknown by 600, both the fixed and the aspect ratio values both output almost identical images. So that concludes this particular tutorial. Thank you for watching.